Midway football coach Shane Anderson with me, David Smoke on Sikkim 365 Radio. And have you healed all your bumps and bruises? And is it more inside or out?
It's a little of both. It's anytime your debut looks like that one looked, you're not going to be happy about it, and you're embarrassed, you're disappointed, all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's the first game of the season, and like I told the kids, the next Monday, half the teams in the state are 0-1. And, so we got to rebound, and we got to be better this week than we were last week.
How did they react to that, the players?
I think, just obviously it's a new staff. It's, still getting to learn each other. We did a lot of things. There's a lot of things we could have done better as a coaching staff, and it starts with me as far as, just all the itinerary, the pregame going in. Anytime you do, something the first time together, it's not going to be what you want it to be. And the way I, kind of related to the coaches was it was very similar to our first practice together. Our first practice was not a very good practice, and then it got better and better and better. And then that first game was obviously not a very good game, so we're hoping that it'll continue to grow and we can continue to get better.
As a coach, and you and I have always been like truth serum with each other, what was the part that was shocking to you or disappointing to you?
Well, I think the biggest thing was just, we couldn't stop them, and we couldn't. It wasn't anything, necessarily the kids were doing what we're asking them to do, but we weren't making plays. I mean, there was several times that they scored that I don't know that we touched them. And so, it's just, it's 6A football, and, you got to come to play every week. It doesn't matter who you play. And we had a lot of kids that was their, not only was it my debut, but it was a lot of those kids' first time playing on Friday nights at the 6A level. And so, it was a learning experience for all of us, and we'll be better for it.
All right, so now you have Permian, the Panthers, Odessa Permian, Mojo, Friday Night Lights. You've been a part of Texas high school football your entire life, and I've covered it myself. And when you think about them, it's kind of like they're the you kind of the flagship of high school football, although they haven't had as much success. Coach Ellison's done a really nice job, though, in methodically building them back. What do you think about when you think about Permian?
Well, obviously the mojo and the tradition, that's the first thing that pops. And, being a kid that grew up around high school football and in the field house and then climbing through the coaching ranks and obviously the movie and reading the book and, all those things, that's the first thing that pops, obviously. And, the quarterback's in a 20 number and, that deal, it's just really cool. We sent scouts out there to Ratliff, and they brought back a media guide that had the tradition of mojo. And it's just a tradition-rich program. And even if they're not what they were or this year as good as they were the year before, that community, they don't expect anything different. It's mojo football, and it's mojo football all the time.
There's a couple of programs, and both of them historically are at the very top, maybe not as much of late. I mentioned Permian and Plano. They used to have the 20 on their quarterback. Not every time, but they had guys with the 20 as well. I like the fact that tradition in some cases still matters, and you try to continue it, even if the success is not what it used to be.
Right, that's just that old school. That's what high school football is about. Mm-hmm. And so much now, and a lot of it. The year I spent over in Tyler, you saw a lot of that with the Lufkins and the Longviews and the,
John Tyler
and Tyler Lee and that whole deal. You could just sense it, you could feel it. And that's really, really cool. You still see it a lot in the small schools, but for a 6A program like Permian, to continue some of those traditions, you go back and, we've looked back for, some scouting report stuff and looked at their Twitter and some of the festivities they have building up to the season is just a really neat deal. And, I think everybody hopes to be, or wants to be a part of a program like that.
It's not as though Midway doesn't have your own history that's been unbelievable. I know last year and at the start of this year, things haven't been what you wanted, but sometimes Midway gets kind of lost in the shuffle when it comes to that. You got a tremendous history at Midway High School.
Yeah, like I said, it's only been 2 years since they were removed from 11 straight district championships, and obviously the district that you're in plays into that. But at the same time, the community still loves their football. They want us to be successful, and as bad as we were last Friday night, I bet we have a great crowd at the home opener this week, and that gives the kids something to play for and something to be a part of.
All right, so I have these spotter boards that I get from you, and Mark Villarreal does a great job in helping me as well. But it's so when I broadcast the game, or Paul and Craig, we can keep up with who's this and that. And I went to see you and started looking at the defense. I got arrows and circles and X's and all that. But that's what happens. You guys have to tweak it, and it's going to be an ongoing process with that.
Yeah, there's no doubt it will be, and our goal is to find out who our best 11 defensive football players and offensive football players, for that matter, are when we start district. And so we still have a couple more weeks before we do that. And, we want to be able to give ourselves a chance that first district ball. Not that we don't want a chance this week, but we want kids to play. We got to get kids on film. We got to find out if they can or can't do it. And that's part of the moving. And then obviously this week with what they do offensively, that plays a part. We're going to play with essentially 5 linebackers on the field because of, the option responsibilities and things of that nature. But, we're going to continue to shuffle the deck, and we're going to find out who our best 11 are when we start district.
Give me a couple of bright spots.
I think it starts with our quarterback, Reed Tedford. I think he handled his first start very well. Obviously the results weren't what we wanted, but I thought he was poised, and I thought he did a really good job of running our offense and doing what we wanted him to do. And I think that's something he can build on as not only a quarterback but as a leader. And Coach Allison puts a lot of pressure on those guys to not only be the quarterback but to be the leader of the team. And so, I think he can build on that. Obviously Dom Hill had a great game offensively. He made some runs that there really wasn't anything there, and he turned them into something. And we got to be able to finish those drives. When he pops a long one like that, we got to finish those drives. And then the sophomore, Junior Thornton, he we knew he was special. He showed us in practice, he can do some special things. And so, he's got to continue to grow. He's just a sophomore. He's young. And then, like I said, defensively, there wasn't a whole lot of bright spots. And so we're looking to improve on that this week.
All right, the game's a 7 o'clock kickoff against Permian and Midway at Panther Stadium. Shane Anderson every Thursday with us, Sikkim 365 Radio.